Welcome to What's Happening at Work. Show here with me, Joyce Edison, your host, and we're going to actually have more of a webinar like for this live to talk about some of the workplace transformation issues that are coming up. Some we're not dealing with, and some we are working furiously to address. So, as you know, I come on here and do live, and the focus is always something workplace because we're looking at what's happening in the workplace right now, and we're looking at what's going to happen in 2024. Aren't you like kind of curious? Like, what's going to happen in 2024? Where does it go? What's going to happen? Right? And I think all of us are a little bit curious. So I want to ask, if you're on and you're watching this live, what are you most curious about? What are you most curious about in 2024? Because, we watch the trends. I'm a trender. I don't know about you, but I like to focus on the trends, what's happening what are the various trends happening in workplaces, and how can we do something different, right? What are some things that you can do that would change the dynamics of your organization and your workplace? So today we're going to touch a little bit on the era of transformation, because we are, if you haven't noticed what's happening in our workforce, we are living in the time of transformation. There are lots of things that are happening in workplaces. We have AI happening, we have low employee satisfaction happening, we're seeing more mental health and emotional issues occurring for employees, and there's such a high level of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. So what do we do as leaders, as experts and practitioners in the workplace? What do we do? How do we help to resolve um, and challenge ourselves to a new era of workplace, a new era of workplace transformation? This is very, very important because we need more we need to be more responsive to what's going on. If you look at what's happened, so last year we talked about mass resignation, then we talked about quiet quitting, we went into looking at quiet firing. And it just goes on, and you ask yourself, okay, where do we go from here? What is the next step for us? So I want to just go through this some of these slides with you as we look at the era of transformation. Where are we at? Are we prepared? Are we addressing those? And if so, what do we need to do to make things more better for all of us? So let's take a look at some of these slides and go through. One of the things that come up, and that's coming up first, because my work is as a conflict analyst. I am always looking at what are some things that cause conflict and dissatisfaction and unhappiness in the workplace. What's in the way? What's making it difficult for employees to have that sense of satisfaction and that awareness in the workplace that they're important, that they're valued, that their contributions are important. And so as we do that, we need to start asking ourselves, where are we at, and what are we doing? What are we doing differently? What can we do better? So in this presentation, I'm going to look at unhappiness at work. And one of the things that came up that I talk about is I'm an avid reader. So I'm always reading to see what are some of what's new and what's different. And one of the things I want us to cover is, what is this new era of transformation? Well, first we're going to look at AI. Right, it's a big part. Then we're going to look at what is the role of well-being in the modern workplace challenges. For modern workplace challenges, are we responding properly? Do we fully understand how our well-being affects affects the work that we do? And then I'm going to touch on some of the core principles of well-being intelligence in the curriculum, and then we're going to look at strategies to align the core values of your organization with a well-being strategy for your workplace. So let's delve into some of this content and see what the research is saying. I'm an avid reader, an avid researcher, and I'm always looking to see, okay, who's validating my thought, and should we be looking at this, and is this no longer important? And so I've been reading Blind Spot from Gallup Poll, and this is written from John Clifton, and he's got many books that written, and Gallup Poll does a lot of research. So if you haven't heard of them, go check them out. So this book talks about the global rise of unhappiness and how it leads, how leaders miss it. And I like how he went into the book and he started to talk about what is well-being. And he showed there's a gap between those who have excellent well-being, they're doing so well. That means, and those who don't. So there's a huge well-being gap. I was looking at the research in 26 years, and the gap is widening between those who are experiencing well-being. And so you may ask, Joyce, how do we define well-being? Well, well-being is defined as a state of being happy, contented, fulfilled, healthy in your life, feeling that you are contributing, your life matters, you are having an impact, you're experiencing joy and happiness in your life. That is well-being. You don't see people walking around sad and talking about well-being. I mean, we can have well-being and still go for a period of sadness or mourning or so. I'm talking about that. It's living a life that's compelling and engaging, and is a support to others. So I'm not quite sure if I did introduce myself. I'm sure I did. Joyce Adelson here, and coming to you from Interpersonal Wellness Services Inc. And today on our LinkedIn Live, we're looking at the era of workplace transformation and looking at how we can do more to respond to the transformation. So, one of the things that I've done since 1997, we've been tackling intra and interpersonal issues that promote unhappiness at work. And at Interpersonal Wellness Services, our company looks at interpersonal dynamics and how they impact our well-being and our wellness. And as we approach that state of well-being, what does that look like? And so there's been lots of different tools we use over the years to track that. But there are some key signs that you need transformation at work. And there is a blog that I wrote, I think this month, I wrote the blog on how to identify an alien workplace. Probably in the last 3-4 weeks, I wrote on that. Being able to identify a workplace that needs transformation or signs that your workplace is alien, and being able to respond to that, because really work is a big part of what we do. So when we look at solutions for interpersonal harmony and well-being at work, we're looking at what can we coach on, what kind of workplace transformation we need to bring in, what's happening around anti-racism, DEI, harassment interventions, what kind of corporate learning and development needs to happen. And as we do that, we start to become wiser. We started to learn more. We start to look at how our clients are responding. We start to look at the transformation, the changes that are happening. And we start to realize there is more we can do. And when we face issues such as mass resignation, quiet quitting, rising in the gig economy, it shows more people are leaving the traditional roles and moving into the gig economy because flexibility in lifestyle, faster cash flow, right? They get cash flow because the gig economy is I work, you pay. There is no I work 2 weeks and wait for my pay. And then so we're seeing a demand for higher salaries. So there's been a lot of workplace, a lot of labor unrest, strikes, and protests because people are not happy with their pay. People are looking for more pay because as our economy has changed and we're recognizing we're at a different place economically, our dollars are not stretching as far, so employees are demanding more higher pay. Then there is demand for workplace inclusion, and the subsequent pushback, because you're looking at more increase for inclusion in diversity, in equity, in gender, sexuality. There is more of that, but not everybody wants that. So there is the pushback. And then, of course, we talk about the strikes and labor unrest, and then the social issues that are happening, wars, global conflicts. It's actually surprising to see the things that are happening right now around wars, and you think we're in 2024. Why are we having these large scale wars that are expanding and affecting more people's lives and their way of life? And so the stress, and there's research that shows when there's social stress with issues like wars and conflict, and so it really does affect people, your employees' well-being, their mental states, their state of their mental health. It does increase addictions and um, anxieties and depression. But those are that's part of our security on the planet. And when we start to see more of these changes, it signals some insecurity in our society. So we have some social issues like digitalization, artificial intelligence, that's going to happen. And I've been looking at some research that shows as we become more digitalized, more AI, and employees are recognizing that that can result in layoffs. So that's another fear for many employees. And many employers are recognizing that unhappiness, mental illnesses, addiction, suicide, despondency, loneliness are on the rise. And how do we how do we shift remote and hybrid work? How do we create more opportunities for autonomy for employees, yet maintain well-being? So those are some of the things that we've been looking at. And as you know, I'm an author and an avid reader, so these are some of my books. But what I want to delve into is the well-being intelligence curriculum, because we're looking at how do we use well-being as a source to promote transformation in the workplace. So take a look at this model that we've used, and it talks about the integration of well-being. So Daniel Stiegel in his work says understanding the connection between the brain and of course the operations of the human mind and body is the first steps to well-being. So what is well-being? We talked about well-being being that state of fulfillment, happiness, enjoyment in our lives and in our work. And so it's important for us to pay attention to what that is. And so I'm going to stop sharing now because it's such an important topic. I want to hear your input in terms of your own workplaces, your own challenges, and what you're seeing in terms of transformation. What are you doing? What do you see, think needs to be transformed? What are you hearing from your employees? What are you hearing from employers? So, some of the things that I talked about before, AI, digitalization is a big piece for organizations. And recognizing that digitalization is much more than how we write. Thanks for sharing your inputs on the important topic. Oh, hi, Christy. How are you? Welcome here. Um, what are you seeing in terms of transformation in your workplace? What is your organization looking at? And so I was looking at some of the research, and we're looking at when we look at what's happening in workplace trends right now, and employees are not hopeful. All right, the trends are saying employees are not hopeful. They're very fearful, they're uneasy, and they're thinking that the general market conditions are going to be worse. People who are looking for jobs are feeling a lot less secure in finding jobs. There are some are complaining that finding a job is harder. We have 85% of respondents fear that they will lose their job in 2024. So, as the fears of recession goes up, almost 8 in 10 responders expect it to be a recession in the US and, of course, in Canada in 2024. 78%, that's a lot. That's 8 in 10. So, if we're putting out that kind of energy, we ask, what's the truth in that? What do we need to do? What do we need to prepare for mentally, emotionally? And how can we use? Because well-being is used to measure, right? We're gauging employees' well-being. How happy are they? How contented? How fulfilled? How healthy are they? right? Do they feel that their work has meaning and purpose and contributing to the greater good? Many employees are expecting that unemployment will grow in 2024. But let's not just talk about the trends and the expectation. Let's look at what's really happening, right? The general, we see the labor unrest has been happening. So more employees are unhappy with their pay, they're unhappy with how they're being treated at work, they're unhappy with the conditions, and we're seeing that respond happening in the results in the labor market unrest, the strikes, um, the stepping out and really putting those actions in place and saying, hey, we want more. And companies will increase the tap, will continue to increase in the gig economy. Because what we see is that, and then there are short-term projects. As even for us, small business, we have more short-term projects, right? And that allows us to be more flexible where you bring someone in just for a particular short-term project. So those are going to be more happening more. And then well-being and mental health is is more linked, and we're going to see increase in in job burnout because people are looking. It's really scary because when you think 40% more people will suffer job burnout in 2024 than in previous years, while 25% fewer will suffer job burnout in 2024. So I don't want to be part of that 40% of people that's going to have job burnout. And one of the things that I'm doing is paying closer attention to what is it I'm doing at work. How am I using my time? One of the books I'm actually reading is the 12-hour year. Looking at seeing how can I be more efficient, and some of the courses that we're running around the well-being intelligence curriculum, around efficiency, around paying attention, about uh, maintaining values, being purposeful in what we do, and results, right? Increasing our results. So 87% of surveyed workers believe that employers will prioritize employee mental health and well-being more in 2024 compared to previous years. That is a given because we're seeing the impact of mental health in on the ground in our workplace, and it's important. Every employer needs to look at the influence of well-being trends in the workplace and start to realize that we need to do something differently. 1810 of the respondents believe that well-being changes in 24 will positively affect employees. Employees are looking for organizations that are going to prioritize their well-being, that looks at them as holistic people who have nine dimensions in their life. That are not just beings who show up to work, but individuals who are giving time for a paycheck, but also other things, right? There are perks, there are benefits that comes with that. There is that sense of well-being to know that I'm safe and I'm being taken care of at work. My needs are being met. Those are important. That's the foundation of employee well-being in the organization. And it says 50%, 55% of respondents predict that their overall well-being and mental health in 2024 will improve, while 26% expect their mental health condition to remain the same, while 18% expect it to deteriorate. So don't be part of that 18% of people um, who are going to stay in that situation. If you expect to deteriorate, you need to ask yourself, why is it going to deteriorate? What are the conditions? What are some of the things that I need to do to ensure that my mental health is taken care of? And when we look at job related physical and emotional exhaustion, as they continue to worsen, we need to start pulling up our socks as employers and say, what can we do differently and how can we do that? And this is one of the reasons why I am doing the educational tour for the well-being curriculum, because it's such a vital and important aspect of our life. um, I'm just going to read a comment here from Christy. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well. We value diversity, curiosity, caring for our customers, teammates, and your work. We're mission driven, customers obsessed, and agile. Let me just scroll down here. but also work hard to be diverse, inclusive, empowered team members. You know what? This is so important because, Christy, you're correct. Those are very important. Inclusion is important. And one of the things that we're noticing is that employees lack some basic skills for well-being, and that's one of the things we teach with the well-being curriculum. We teach the tools that allow employees to develop those competencies in their lives. Because when you don't know, you want to be well, but you don't know how. How am I going to be well? What do I need to do, Joyce, to be well? How do I get to that state of well-being? Because wellness are the activities we do every day in our lives. We sleep, we get proper sleep, we eat properly, we take care of ourselves. That's wellness. But well-being is a state we arrive to by continually maintaining our wellness and putting those. We want to be happy, right? I could go for a run and be completely miserable, right? So that's a wellness activity, right? I could be eating um, salads and be completely miserable, right? So we want to get to that state of well-being, because that's where employee satisfaction really comes in, and you start to see, because when employees are happy, just like any of us, if you're happy, you're going to do your best work. You're going to work harder. You're going to work smarter. You're going to be more focused. You're going to put in more effort. And that's part of it. So when employees are not well, when we're not taking care of the employees' well being, then they're less engaged. They're not participating and contributing and being as effective team members as they can be, because sometimes they don't know how. And I've noticed that working with employees over the last 26, it'll be 27 years in 2024 that I've been working with employees. And sometimes they come and say, Joyce, I I didn't do well on my performance review, and I've been told to do better. But I've been doing my best. If I knew how to do better, I would have. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But that's why you're here, right? That's why you're getting help, because you don't know how to do better. You've been doing your very best. So it's important for organizations to ensure that they have the tools and resources. Employees have the skills and the competencies to be well, to come to work and feel alive and excited and rejuvenated, and that you're contributing. That's important. And as we look at it, and I shared a lot of statistics before and look at some of the challenges that are happening, and you start to realize we have a responsibility in this transformative era, because COVID-19 was a game changer. It really created a lot more awareness for leaders in organizations, because for the first time they had to think, oh, we can't open the door. People might get sick, or somebody else, or customers might get sick from our employees. And we suddenly realized, like, we need to start realizing that this is not something that we can walk away from and say, it's in our consciousness. And employees are conscious of that now. They're like, all of us are conscious of it. And so employees want to be treated as important elements in the business. They're not just here to do their work and go home. They're there to be part of the organization. They need to feel part of. As we go more into remote work, we have to be even more conscientious in ensuring that remote and hybrid work is not just, oh, you're over there and you're doing your own thing, but that we create more inclusivity, and the team is more inclusive, and the team is gelling, whether they're remote or hybrid or in the office. We'll always have an element of hybrid work. It's never going to go away. An element of it was there before COVID. It's just it got exaggerated. It's going to be more and will continue to be more. And then there is AI. As we as employees learn how to use the digitalization, how to use artificial intelligence to help them to work more efficiently, we also have to remember that the cost of that is that they are now spending less time with people, and humans are social beings. So as we stop interacting with others and we become more independent, we're losing that connection. And what does that lead to? That will lead to our own sense of loneliness and isolation, which is a big part of the challenge that employees are feeling. And even if I'm working alone, I don't want to feel lonely. I want to feel that I'm part of a team. I want to know there are team members I can work with, I can talk to, I can reach out to, I can get ideas, I can share ideas with, and that they will support me if I'm struggling. Right? That's important in this era of transformation. It doesn't matter the size of your business or the size of your team. It's important to have that in place always and to keep building that, because if you as a leader isn't building that, then you're not going to, and you're not fostering that. And one of the pieces we teach in the well-being intelligence curriculum is that relational leadership, being relatable with your team, but also ensuring that you're a you're a good relator, but that you are fostering good relationships among your team. And that's a key part to the growth and development as we go into the transformation. The other thing we teach is that employees have um, a multidimensional, and you have to treat them as if they are. So going into your workplace and recognizing that your employees are going to be struggling with different areas of their lives, and as an organization you cannot manage all their lives, so it's important to give them tools to manage the areas of their lives that you're not living with them, they're at home. So whether it's relationship issues, whether it's children issues, whether it's family issues, whether it's self-care issues, all of this, maybe it's their own spiritual issues they're facing with, their own physical health or their own financial challenges, you need to ensure in this era of transformation that your employees are getting the tools to equip their lives with what they want, what they need for success. And this is a key part of it when we look at the well-being intelligence system. And this is a tool that we've been using now for many, many years to help organizations to see how important it is to look at employees as holistic. And as we move into this era of transformation, we're saying, hey, we don't just need to equip our employees with tools to be well at work. We need to equip them with tools to be well in their lives so that they are attaining that state of well being, so they can be well rounded individuals who show up at work already contented, not coming to work looking for contentment, because we're all busy at work and we're not there to, slap each other on their shoulder. And, we are here to work. And so we want you to come to work well. This is what we're saying with the well-being intelligence curriculum. What are the tools and strategies to sustain well-being at work, but also in their lives? We cannot just wait for employees to show up at work to be well. It cannot be the only place where they're being well. We need to give them tools to be able to manage their lives spiritually, socially, emotionally, occupationally, intellectually, environmentally, financially, physically, and interpersonally. Many employees struggle with an area of their lives, and it's important for them to learn what that is. And so we have this assessment on our website where employees, as an organization, you can bring your team of employees to measure how well they're doing. And we can give you a report that says, this is the area, these are the areas where your employees are challenged. And this is completely anonymous. But you gives us that stat so we can see these are the areas where employees need to develop their well-being. These are some areas where you can invest in and ensure that they're getting the tools and resources and they're building skills and competencies. And of course, behind that, we have the well-being competency teachings that allow us to look at the 12 competencies and focus on developing one competency per month. So this gives additional tools, additional resources, additional information, and employees who are registered, employers are registering their employees into the well-being competency coaching program, and it's a 1 year program. They get to develop these competencies. Sometimes your employees just need to develop 2 or 3 competencies, and I get asked that, just what if they're just struggling with 2 or 3, and they can come in for those 3 months period and work on those 3 competencies and be part of that group and that community to build up those areas so they can be strong. They can be more emotionally resilient. They can be more mentally resilient. And they are learning the tools and skills to foster well being so that they're truly well and they can show up well. They can leave work well, and they are experiencing sense of happiness. And it's interesting because often when we put employees through this assessment, they'll say, my employer really cares about me and my well being and wants me to be well. They actually want me to be well, not just at work. And it's nice when we can say to them, yes, they do, because that's important. The way you show up at work is critically important to your success at work and your performance. This is where my work this year is on teaching the well-being, educating on the well-being intelligence curriculum, so more organizations, more employees can get to that state and that place of well-being to foster well-being, not just at work, but fostering well-being through their lives. And behind this, we've built in some KPIs that allows our client organizations to identify some key areas where they need employees to improve, and based on those we can do an assessment for the organization so that the employees can continue to improve. And we've had situations where employees come in, they've been found guilty of harassment or bullying. There's been an investigation, and now they want to change their behavior, or it's now requested that they get support. And we're finding that the well-being intelligence training and curriculum have been very, very helpful in terms of helping them to transform their behavior, shift their mindset, and be more focused. We do the leadership piece where leaders are coming in because they're struggling to get their teams to gel, to collaborate, to work, to sync. And so that also helps the leaders in that leadership stream to excel. And I think last week, I one of the leaders was saying to me how much she valued the relational leadership piece and the competencies that she's learning, because she now has the language to speak to her team and engage them and galvanize them into action more holistically, was the word she used. So there are very many ways in which we are looking at the era of transformation and learning. We're continually learning. This is research that's been done, and I've written about this, and I've shared in my books, and continuing to write, but continuing to learn, because we are in that era of transformation. It's going to continue. It's not done. It hasn't stopped. It will continue to transform, and it will continue to change. And we have to be able to be adaptive. We have to be able to change what we're doing as organizations and respond differently and equip our employees with the right tools and strategies so that they can be successful. It's a big part of the work that we're doing. So I want to thank you for being here and sharing your thoughts, Jacob, Misbah, um, Christy. Thank you for your input, and we'll continue to keep this conversation going as we look at that era of transformation and how we're responding, and how can you respond to the high level of unhappiness and dissatisfaction, and some of the repercussions we're seeing in the workplace. So, Joyce Edison here. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to your questions and your comments, and I'll be going back online and looking at your feedback, making comments, and let's keep the conversation going, because I believe, we're just starting to scratch the surface on how we need to change and be more holistic in how we manage work for employees and how we transform work so that employees can truly experience well-being in all areas of their lives. Joyce Edison here, interpersonalwellness.com. Join us more for more content. And if you're looking at the recording, thanks for being here, and leave your comments below and I will respond to them. Take care.